Hey people, alarm receiving centres and connectivity go absolutely hand in hand. My background is I worked in one for 22 years. My co-founder worked in one for over 10. Prior to us actually creating KeySim, he built the software which most of the alarm receiving centres use today. So vastly experienced. And we are currently building another KeySim interconnect into an alarm receiving centre. So we're just going to explain a little bit about what that means. So imagine you've got your alarm centres and they are needing to remotely access the systems that they're monitoring. Very often now, it's for CCTV cameras. This particular client is going to be using these routers. So Teltonika RUT200, they're going to be using the multi-network SIM, which is our standard offering, and they will have VPN credentials here. So imagine this is the alarm receiving center, and that is going to give them direct access to the private IP addresses on the KeySim. This IP address is not publicly accessible at all. It can only be accessed from the ARC over the VPN, okay? So it's a private interconnect for the ARC. So that will take them as far as RUT200, and from there, they can access whatever is plugged into these ports here. So the system will have an IP address and a port. They'll set up a port forward rule. Bingo, they've cracked it. Very similar to the bog standard VPNs, but this one is for alarm receiving centers. Then it gets a little bit deeper because very, very often you have the alarm receiving centers at one level and then the installers at another level. So when we build the ARC VPN, there may well be multiple installers that also wish to access the router or the systems. And that's fine, because with KeySecure, which is our suite of VPN products, you can have sub-VPNs. So there can be a master VPN that can access all of the SIMs, and then each installer can also have their own, which can access a subset of the private IP addresses, okay? And that was where we thought it was going to end, until somebody came along and said, actually, we need, in certain circumstances, the end user to be able to access the camera images remotely on demand. Now that is an issue, because realistically, you are not going to get every single end user logging onto a VPN, okay? It's not going to happen. So what we built was a variation of the public IP. So the installer or the ARC instructs us as to which port they need to hit on the outside to take them through to the recorder or the camera, and we give them back a public link, and it'll be a random IP address. Pop that into the app, mostly it's Hikvision, bingo, they've got remote access publicly to that one SIM, okay? And that's what we do for alarm receiving centers, and we're just building another one right now. Not really a sort of market we've massively targeted. KeySim itself is so wide. ARCs is just a subset of it, and very often they're wedded to what they've got currently, which is fine. But the ones that want to come across, we can absolutely do it. And on top of that, they're always going to need bandwidth. So by having Vodafone, O2, 3 and EE on one SIM is great. But the critical thing is, from a bandwidth perspective, is being able to remotely choose what mobile network that router is connected to. Then all the other things, no contracts, turn SIMs on, off, only pay for what you use, so on, so on, so on. So there we go. Key Secure for alarm receiving centres in a nutshell. I think we'll pick up more of these as time goes on, especially if we promoted it a bit more.